a 16-year-old boy stood outside a large watch showroom, gazing through the glass at the sparkling watches inside. His eyes shone with curiosity. How were these amazing watches made? Just then, a security guard noticed him and said, "Move away from the shop. You can't afford these." That orphan boy was none other than Hans Wilsdorf, the founder of Rolex. He would later go on to create the world's most expensive watches. But the question remains, how did an orphan, abandoned by his parents at a young age, build the world's most luxurious watch brand? Not just that, Rolex became so trusted that during World War II, governments provided their soldiers with Rolex watches because they were the most precise timepieces available, enabling soldiers to attack their targets with accuracy. Moreover, when Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay became the first to conquer Mount Everest, they wore Rolex watches on their wrists. Many people don't know that Rolex sells watches worth over 80,000 crore rupees annually. Yet despite this massive revenue, how does the company pay zero taxes? Why are Rolex watches so expensive? And how did this orphan boy achieve such greatness? To find the answers, grab some popcorn and enjoy this amazing documentary. Music Hans Wilsdorf was born on March 22nd, 1881. He lived happily with his family. But his life took a tragic turn when, at the age of 11, he lost his mother to illness. Just a year later, his father passed away as well. By the age of 12, Wilsdorf was an orphan. He was sent to a boarding school in Coburg, Bavaria, where other children's parents would visit them. But Wilsdorf was always alone. The other kids mocked him for it. Wilsdorf found solace in his studies. He excelled in mathematics and English, two skills that would later prove invaluable. During his school years, Wilsdorf met a friend who told him about a place in Switzerland called La Chaux de Fonds, known for its booming watchmaking industry. Fascinated by this, young Wilsdorf decided that one day he would visit Switzerland. After finishing school at the age of 19, Wilsdorf moved to Geneva, Switzerland. He took an apprenticeship at a company that exported pearls. However, his real dream was to work in a watchmaking firm. That dream soon came true when a friend helped him get a job at Kuno Korten, one of Switzerland's largest watch manufacturers. As a clerk there, Wilsdorf earned a modest salary. His job involved winding pocket watches. At that time, men preferred pocket watches, while wristwatches were considered jewelry for women. Most people believed wristwatches were just accessories for ladies. These early wristwatches had a major drawback. They needed to be manually wound every morning, and they only lasted a day. If the wearer moved too much, the watch's time would shift, making it unreliable. Meanwhile, Wilsdorf still remembered that childhood moment when a security guard had shooed him away from a showroom. As he worked on winding watches, he constantly thought about creating a highly precise timepiece. Later, he was required to serve in the military, as was mandatory in his country. At 22, Wilsdorf moved to London, where he met a woman named Florence Francis, who later became his wife. By this time, Wilsdorf had learned how the watch industry worked. In 1905, he partnered with James Davis to start a watch company, initially called Wilsdorf and Davis. However, they faced a challenge. Watches weren't selling as expected. After talking to several customers, Wilsdorf discovered that people were hesitant to buy watches from a brand with a German name. At the time, anti-German sentiments were high, and people avoided buying anything associated with Germany. So, in 1908, Wilsdorf rebranded the company as Rolex Watch Company Limited. The name Rolex sounded premium, and as a result, sales increased significantly. Wilsdorf heavily invested in research and development, aiming to create a highly precise and waterproof watch. In 1926, he achieved this goal, designing the world's first waterproof watch, the Rolex Oyster. However, many people doubted the claim, as most watches of that era malfunctioned even with a single drop of water. But Wilsdorf had a plan. He knew that just making a great product wasn't enough. He had to tell a compelling story that people would remember. So, in 1927, he seized a rare opportunity. A woman named Mercedes Gleitzer attempted to swim across the English Channel while wearing a Rolex Oyster. Although she didn't complete the crossing, the watch remained in perfect working condition. This was the proof Wilsdorf needed. He wasted no time. He took out a full-page ad in the London Daily Mail, proudly announcing, "Rolex Oyster, the wonder watch that defies the elements." But Wilsdorf didn't stop there. To further convince people, he placed fish tanks in Rolex showrooms, where Rolex watches remained submerged in water. When customers saw the watches working perfectly underwater, they were amazed. Sales skyrocketed. In 1953, Wilsdorf learned that mountaineers Tenzing Norgay and Sir Edmund Hillary were attempting to conquer Mount Everest. He provided them with Rolex watches for the expedition. When they became the first people to reach the summit, history was made, with Rolex watches on their wrists. This wasn't just a minor achievement, it was monumental. Rolex had once again proven its reliability under extreme conditions. Wilsdorf wasted no time in publishing this success story worldwide. In 1935, race car driver Malcolm Campbell broke the world speed record, reaching 300 miles per hour while wearing a Rolex. He later stated, "At such high speeds, I need something I can trust completely. Rolex is that watch." This endorsement, along with certifications from prestigious observatories, solidified Rolex's reputation as a premium brand. During World War I, watches weren't just accessories, they were life-saving tools for soldiers. In battle, coordinated attacks were crucial, and precise watches were essential. If different battalions' watches showed different times, their attacks would be out of sync. Seeing the reliability of Rolex, governments provided soldiers with Rolex watches. Through mud, storms, and combat, Rolex watches helped soldiers synchronize their movements. This government endorsement boosted Rolex's popularity even further. While Rolex was already a massive success, Wilsdorf wanted to improve it further. Back then, even Rolex Oyster watches needed manual winding. Wilsdorf aimed to create a watch that required no manual winding. He succeeded in inventing the world's first self-winding wristwatch, the Rolex Perpetual. This watch used a perpetual rotor, meaning it automatically charged itself using the wearer's movements, eliminating the need for manual winding. This innovation cemented Rolex's status as a leader in watchmaking, but fate had more in store. As years passed, Wilsdorf's wife, Florence, passed away. Heartbroken, he fell into deep thought. With no children, he worried about Rolex's future after his death. After months of contemplation, Wilsdorf made a groundbreaking decision. In 1945, he established the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, a private trust to which he donated all his shares in Rolex. Under this trust, Rolex's profits would be used for education, arts, and social welfare programs. When Wilsdorf passed away on July 6, 1960, his foundation ensured that Rolex remained independent, never falling into corporate control. Today, Rolex is a brand people aspire to own. This proves that anything is possible. Similar inspiring stories exist about Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, which have been beautifully documented by Walter Isaacson in his books. If you're passionate about knowledge, you can find over 200 free book summaries in Hindi on our app. Download it now. If you found this video valuable, share it with friends and family.